What does it take first to succeed at this? Industry and sector knowledge. Okay, lawyers, for example, we focus on legal knowledge. When in lockdown also, I saw lawyers talk, whoever formed study groups. I didn't see lawyers learning about business. Okay, the lawyer who wants to learn about business unfortunately wants to do an MBA and move out of law altogether. But we saw lawyers forming study groups where they're discussing contract law, they're discussing cases. Okay, but point is, boss, you need to know industry knowledge. You want to cater to sports industry, you need to know what is the industry divided into. For example, there could be broadcasting issues, there could be sports person endorsements, there could be player contracts with their leagues if you're doing an IPL related work. Okay, or there could be athletes ka issue with around doping and all of that. Now, which side of it are you on? So you have to break down the industry and understand that which issue comes where and which is the side you're acting for. Okay, if you are in the media and entertainment space, then you need to understand who's going to give you work. Are the newspapers going to give you work, or are the OTT apps and the content creation or content creators going to give you work? Okay, if you are in the technology space, then you need to understand that, okay, how does data actually flow from one app to another? Okay, what are the data protection issues? Not the law. The law will say, okay, take consent, inform the customer. But the point is that when you look at how a business works, sometimes all that becomes very difficult to walk through. So industry and sector knowledge is the most important. You need to know, for example, that if I am giving my details on a cloud website or on a cloud service, the database might be by another provider, it might be stored somewhere else. So that whole thing you need to know. Okay, then you need to know subject knowledge. And nowadays, subject knowledge is intersecting various areas. I'll give you an example. You might learn basic contract drafting, but you will need to know technology contracts to do a proper technology contract. Okay, in that now there will be knowledge of data protection. There may be data protection addendums you will add. You will negotiate indemnity also. Then there will be international commercial arbitration if the purchaser is a business outside India and the company which makes the software is in India. Okay, now that arbitration clause becomes an international commercial arbitration automatically because one entity is a foreigner. Then you will get into the seat versus venue debate. You will see which is the institution we're going to use, which is the choice of law. So there you see that contract drafting, data protection, arbitration got interlinked. The more the areas get interlinked, the more high value your service becomes, the more irreplaceable you are. Okay, now now you might have a small deal. For example, this need not be a 50 crore deal. This could be a 1 crore deal or 50 lakh deal. But all these complexities are involved. Definitely, now what this does is that it creates a better market for lawyers, but lawyers need to up their game. Okay, but there's a market, and a lot of times these needs go unserved. And you will see this regularly. High value contracts, low value contracts equally have absurd missing clauses, like the seat versus venue debate. I'm taking this example. Okay, it arose because contract lawyers drafted bad arbitration clauses. It's called pathological clauses, and this is a classic in the study of international commercial arbitration. Okay, all arbitration lawyers know about it, but contract drafting lawyers don't know about it. And you know what? It's not a recent discovery. It's since 1970 to 1974 this word was first coined by somebody. Okay, and it stayed, which means that we have continued with the same mistake. Lawyers continue to make the same mistake because the system hasn't evolved, and this is across the globe. You will need from time to time now, these unexpected new things crop up, so you will need access to a library of mentors or resources that, when you get stuck, you can reach out to someone and say, okay, how can I resolve this? How do I go about it? Okay, not necessarily just templates. People think that all my answers are in a template, but then why is the client paying you, right? A lot of real life contracts in different industries have combinations of 2 or 3 contracts in one. Okay, and then you will have separate contracts also. So this, you cannot have like a perfect template library, but you need base templates and you need to know how to use those. So you need that training, and you need to have mentorship to identify which template I need when and how to customize it, where to customize it. Okay, of course study is needed because now suddenly if I bring up technology contract, okay, which will be very different from a regular contract. Technology contract, like a software development agreement, master services agreement, service level agreement, all these become very different. Somebody in our technology contracts course had asked that, how is a software contract for an agile model different from a waterfall model? Okay, and that's the kind of question people need to know, and that's what you need to tell a technology developer, that okay, you're following agile form of development, I'll help you do this. Okay, so now that's the kind of understanding you need. So it's a combination of contracts plus technology contracts. Sometimes there can be a data protection angle, and then there'll be international commercial arbitration angle. Okay, industry knowledge is important because one of the biggest issues in a software contract, for example, is documentation. That how does your code work? One coder cannot read another coder's work, which means I have the freedom as an employer to kick out a coder, but if I replace him, then the new person will have to create the software from scratch unless there is very clear documentation prepared by the first coder. Now, documentation is a vague term. Somebody needs to sit and verify that a third party can actually use this. So you're understanding these problems arise, and this is why industry knowledge is important.